Okay, I suggest we can start now. 3 minutes past 2. We have currently 23 participants. So dear colleagues, good afternoon. It is our pleasure to meet you again for this second knowledge sharing event of the forage production thematic area in the Climate Smart Advisors project. My name is László Papolcsi, and I'm coordinating this area in our project. Last year we had the first event with a diverse agenda related to carbon farming and forage production, when we had 5 presentations, and it was co-organized by CSA and Climate Farm Demo Project. But today's event is a little bit of an opposite. So today we would like to focus on one main topic, but this is a comprehensive one with a single main presentation. And this event is organized by the CSA. We are also planning this spring to have another event, however, together with the Climate Farm Demo Project, and the planned subject is forage quality in the production of hay, including topics like precision farming and others. Today, technically, we would like to ask you to add your questions or comments in the meeting chat, and we will try to address and respond to them at the end of the presentation. There will be an opportunity to have an open discussion as well at the end, and we have also prepared with a short questionnaire where you may provide quick feedback, and we can follow up based on your input, additionally to the live discussions today. The link of this form will be shared in the chat later today. This event is recorded, and the summary with today's presentation will be available in the project back office. Now, let me briefly introduce our speaker today, Szilvia Orosz, who and her colleagues are developing adaptive feeding strategies for large-scale and extensive livestock farms, particularly in dry continental climates, in response to the effects of climate change. And their recommendations include winter crops and double cropping in forage production, a novel approach to the phenological stage of harvest time, and new types of drought-tolerant annual summer crops. Szilvia is the director of the feed laboratory of the National Livestock Performance Testing Company in Hungary, and assistant professor of the University of Veterinary Medicine, Department of Animal Nutrition and Clinical Dietetics. So, Szilvia, over to you. The floor is yours now, and thank you.
Thank you, László. At first, I would like to say thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy that I have opportunity to share our experience related to the climate adaptive forage strategy. I will be very practical, so my presentation will be not so scientific as maybe you have heard, but I try to be as quick and easy to understand as I can, because it's a complex view and a complex subject. I will talk about the intensive system and extensive system also, and you will understand at the end of my presentation why I start intensive system. As an introduction of Hungary, I have to tell you that we have very intensive dairy farms. We have more than 400 farms, and the farm size is rather big compared to other countries. So the average cows number is more than 400 on a farm. So altogether we have 800, 900 animals on a farm with the heifers and calves. At the moment, we have approximately 11,000 kilogram milk production in a closed lactation. So we are in the top of the rank by the relative milk performance. But unfortunately, the lactation number is rather low. It's just 2.2, and the calving interval is much longer than we expect or we want to manage. So it means that we have good results, but we have challenges also. But it's just a short introduction, so I don't want to focus on intensive dairy industry, but the forage strategy, the new forage strategy started to develop in the intensive milk industry, and we have many experiences, and we offer this experience for the extensive herd managers because I think some points can be useful for the intensive farming, for the extensive farming, sorry. It's not so relevant, but I really love this figure and the reason I would like to explain why I love it. Because you see the calving interval in the intensive system during the last 50 years. And as you see, this calving interval started to increase during the last decades. And it's very understandable because generally there is negative correlation between the milk production and the calving interval. As you know, the reproduction and the reproductive system is very sensitive. So when the milk production starts to go to increase, generally it has negative impact on reproduction. But what you see, that there is a special period after 2010, the trend changed, and now we have a better reproductive performance because the calving interval started to decrease, and we believe that it means that there is improving health status on our farms. What happened in 2010 or around this year? We started to work with the double cropping system, and we started to feed the new forages with high fiber digestibility. Of course, there were many other changes also. For example, the ultrasound introduction in pregnancy detection, and of course, the barn started to reconstruct. So there were many changes, but the time when we started the new forage strategy is the same time when the reproductive performance started to improve in our country. And I think this overlap shows us that this new forage strategy is not just an adaptation, but it can be helpful even for the animals. You will see later why I told this. So in Central Europe, the climate change have dramatical effects, and since 2020, our fields are suffering from drought and heat stress. I think is a very nice painting about an Indian who is dancing, and that was the only tool in their hand in that time to wait for the rain. But we have much more tools in our hand, and I will tell you the details what we have done during the last 17-15 years. So what we can expect? We can expect that the summer will be much warmer. During the last during the last 30 years, we had approximately +2 Celsius increase in temperature. But what is more important, that we will have more heat stress days during the summertime, and heat stress days can kill the corn on the field. The corn is very sensitive for high temperature, and we have more and more heat stress days in dry continental regions. What does it mean, heat stress days? It means that the maximum temperature is above 35 Celsius degree. During the last 30 years, we have just 3 days during the summer, heat stress days during the summer. Last year we had 8 days, and we are expecting +7 to 10 heat stress days during the summer in the future. And there is another challenge, that we will have lower precipitation during the summertime. So we will have drought, more serious drought, and more frequent drought during the next years. But there is another information, what we did not expect, that during the winter time there's high chance that we will have more precipitation, plus 15-20%. I think it is a huge ratio, and we will have shorter dry periods during winter time. It's very important because it means that the winter crops will have better facilities to grow, and during the climate change in dry continental region, we can expect higher yield of winter crops. So that was a fundamental reason why we started to work on our new forage strategy, and why the winter crops are so important in this new strategy. So there was a revolution in Hungary during the last 17-18 years. The first motivation was the climate change. We have dry continental climate, and the altitude is very low. We have our land, 80% of our land is lower than 200 meters above the sea level. It's important because there are other regions in Central Europe where the precipitation is higher, or the altitude is higher, and they have better conditions. But beside Hungary, there are very similar conditions in Serbia, some part of Serbia, Croatia, some part of Slovakia, Czech Republic, and some part of Romania. So it means that many countries are involved in this problem, the climate change problem. In our country, there's increasing milk production, so our cows need better forages, high digestible forages, and we have to have a stable forage bank, because we have to supply the animals, and instability is not acceptable. And I have to emphasize that there is an evolution in the laboratory service. The NIL laboratories can provide new parameters for the practice, and in our country we paid a lot of time to explain the new parameters, and we try to become a bridge between the practice and the science. So our new parameters, most of our new parameters are understandable for the farmers, are relevant for the partners, and these are decision-making tools in their hands. We can provide our results within 24 hours. So if they start to measure, for example, the alfalfa protein content or the starch content of the corn plant, beginning of the harvest time, we can send back almost in time, and they can decide to start the harvest, or they can delay the harvest. So the new laboratory services, especially the NIR quick laboratories, can help, and they were useful in the farm life. And additionally, I have to tell that the new scientific results, the new scientific outputs are very helpful for the laboratories and the farms. For example, the Cornell rumen model had to understand what is happening in the rumen and how we have to harvest the forages if we would like to supply, if we would like to support the intensive dairy cows. The AMTS software is one of the best software which help to make a really good recipe for high milking dairy cows, and to follow what is happening in the rumen, so it can predict rumen pH, milk components. So this kind of scientific output helped us to be involved in a flow, in a revolution. So what has changed? The forage bank has totally changed in my country. We have much more forage types as before. For many decades, we used just the corn silage and the alfalfa roots and silage. Now we have early cut rice silage, triticale silage, high sugar grass silages, different mixes. So we have opportunity to make a very flexible crop rotation system according to the actual climate, actual weather conditions. Very important that we started a double cropping system. The double cropping increased the biomass amount per hectare, and generally we combine two different forage types, and we have two forage harvest in 1 year. I have to mention that our consideration has changed related to the phenological state, growth stage of harvest. For many years, the farmers believed that the starch is the most important parameter in the energy content. But I have to say that during the last 10 years, we realized that the digestible, how important the digestible fiber as an energy component, and what is the physiological effect of the highly digestible fiber in the rumen. It can increase the appetite during the summertime. So now we are focusing the digestibility of the fiber when we start the harvest. It is in Central Europe. I know in other countries it is natural traditionally, but it was rather new in a country where we established our TMRs, our diet on corn silage and roots and silage. And we started to make a differentiation. So now we have a winter diet and the summer diet in the intensive systems, because during the summer the animals, especially the cows, are suffering, and we try to maintain their appetite, and these new type of highly digestible forages are able to maintain the diet, the appetite, the dietary intake, and can reduce the risk of different animal health problems, just like ketosis or acidosis or lemoness. And we have a lot of experience related to the well-digestible early cut cereal silages or grass silages, and we can share it with the extensive systems. And some part of this experience can be applied in sheep or beef nutrition also, because we have unfortunately a very serious process that expectable grass yield of the grasslands started to decrease. During the summer, we have so hot and so dry weather that sometimes we have to give additional forages to the herd even during the summertime because the grass is not enough for maintenance. Okay. So what happened during the last 18 years? We started to check, to investigate intensive high sugar grasses like Lolium multiflorum. These are annual grasses and we grow it on arable. So it's absolutely different than the natural grassland. And after we realized that in dry continental region, the grass need more rain than we have on some winter and springtime. So sometimes we have spring drought, unfortunately. That's why we introduced the cereals, just like the rye. The rye is very drought tolerant, and now we have more than 40,000 hectares. That is a high ratio in our forage bank. So we are working with very early cut whole crop rice silages nowadays. The rye has a disadvantage that the harvest window is very, very narrow. So we have to be very quick in harvest. That's why we introduced triticale, the early cut whole crop triticale system, because the triticale is it's a little bit lazy. It means that we have more time for the harvest, more time to if there is a problem, technical or weather problem, because the triticale can maintain the digestibility for a longer time. And we have experience related to different mixes, cereal mixes, just like triticale, oat and barley, or cereal and grass mixes, just like triticale, oat and barley and Lolium multiflorum. These are excellent mixes, and these are very, very flexible systems. We can cut it early time and a little bit later. If cut it early for intensive dairy cows, it's perfect, but we can cut them later for heifers or beef cattle or sheep. And after we realized that there are drought tolerant or not so drought sensitive grasses, just like the Festivalium type of grasses. So we have now experience related to Festivalium silages. We are very satisfied with it. And because in some cases we had problem the early cut system. So if the springtime we haven't got rain enough, in that case we have to use the sorghum as the summer crop, but a new type of sorghum. So we grow generally biomass sorghum. It is a monocut type grass, and Sudan multicut type Sudan grass sorghum, and blends mixes of this kind of Sudan grass and sorghum. We realized that the foxtail can be a very good emergency crop during the summertime. I will show it, and we started to work the millet also. So you see the revolution of our forages. So we start with corn silage and alfalfa silage, and now we have many opportunities. We have many different type of forages what we can use. We did not stop to grow grasses, Italian grasses or rye. We started many years. We started to work with them many years ago. So, but we don't stop them because there are many advantages of these crops. We just try to find other crops with other advantages. So it means that all different kind of forages are available now in Hungary, and according to the conditions of the region, everybody can find what they want to grow. For heifers and extensive beef, cattle, and sheep, we have another strategy. In the past, we used corn silage and very poor quality silages. What we did not really like, I don't accept it. And what we suggest now, winter mixes, legume and cereal blends, cut in a little bit later stage, not in wood stage, but in milky stage, or whole crop cereal silages alone without legume in milky stage. Or, of course, from the summer crops, the biomass was very popular, and the Sudan grass also. And we started to work a new type of hay. We have now cereal hay production also, what is a new strategy within the extensive herd nutrition. So, what I told before and what I will talk later, what I will tell later, it's not a theory; it's the real life in Hungary. So we do it on the farms and in the practice. What we do? So we have early cut whole crop rice silage. We have early cut whole crop cereals, triticale silage, and we cut in wood stage or early heading stage, and the energy content in that case is very close to the corn silage. We have intensive grass silages, Festoolium and Italian ryegrass silages, but why they are intensive? Because we grow them on arable, and these are just annual crops. So we cut them in April, in May, and after there is a second other crop. So it's not a perennial system. We started, and now we continue the early cut system because we realized the positive physiological effect of high fiber digestibility. And if we cut earlier the forage, we will get much better digestibility. The intensive grass silages may have 70 to 80% fiber digestibility. This is the NDF 48 parameter. The average is 66%, and is much better than the alfalfa silage in Hungary. Alfalfa silage digestibility is between 40 to 50, so it's a considerable difference. And we see the physiological effect and the effect on milk production. We introduced the double cropping. It is general that after the rye we grow corn, silage corn or corn seed, but it will change in the future. I think we will have more rye sorghum combination and triticale sorghum combination and grass sorghum combination. We started to work with the new BMR sorghum. The BMR, it means that there is a special gene composition, and there is a lower lignin content compared to the traditional sorghum. That's why the fiber digestibility of the BMR sorghum is very good. And I have to tell you that we started to decrease the corn silage in the diet, in the intensive diets, and the lutein silage ratio, because we have many problems and challenges related to corn silage and lutein silage in our region. In some area of the country, in 2076, there will be big farms without any corn silage, and they will use just early cut rice silage, triticale, and grass silage in the diet, because they are not able to grow the corn, because they can't irrigate, and if they would be able to irrigate, even in that case, they can't have the plant if there is heat stress, for example, 40 Celsius degree for 4 days. The corn will die even if it is an irrigated area. We use the blends, and there are many blends, many mixes in our country, and we can cut them according to the intensity of the different animals, and we can cut in different time according to the intensity of the animal production. We cut it early time in wood stage, the blends, if we prepare for dairy cows, but we can cut it in early dough stage when we prepare this silage or hay for beef cattle. The summer TMR is a special development. We can maintain the appetite, so there is no 10-20% decrease in dry matter intake during the summertime if we apply in high ratio this kind of highly digestible silages. And it's very important because if during the summertime there is low dry matter intake, it will reduce the reproductive performance, and it will have negative effect on the whole year, not just on not just during the 3 months. Okay, so you see what you see now, that there we had a pyramid type of forage bank in the past, and now we have a puzzle. So we have many different opportunities beside the corn silage and beside the Luzern silage. It is for the intensive system. Okay, why we had to do it? Because the corn yield was so variable and so unstable that the farmers couldn't trust anymore the corn silage on non-irrigated area. In some cases, we had so low yield that we didn't have silage enough for the herd. That's why we had to find additional forages. And if you can see, not just the quality is the question, but the corn silage starch content is very variable, and we are not satisfied with this starch content. Sometimes we have just 20-25% starch. It means that we have low energy corn silages on the farms generally nowadays, and it does not help the sustainability because we have to buy a lot of concentrate. And that's why we try to replace some part of the corn silage with other crops with high fiber digestibility and high energy content. And that's why we try to increase the appetite, which can compensate this kind of starch problem. But during the last 10 years, we had so we have found another challenge, and it is the aflatoxin. The Aspergillus fungi or mold generally derived from the subtropical countries 20-30 years ago, but because of the climate change, the conditions are comfortable for this fungi another year, and that is a problem because the aflatoxin the aflatoxin can contaminate the seed, the corn seed, the corn silage, the snaplage, and unfortunately there is 1 to 6% carryover into the milk. So if the yield regulation is not strong enough, in that case, the milk can contain aflatoxin M1. So that's why the yield regulation is very, very, very strict. And we have to be very careful with the corn silage, snaplage, and high moisture corn. That's why we had to find other forages where the aflatoxin contamination has very much lower risk. That is the rye, for example, or other cereals. And we realized that the milky stage, okay, it is traditional, historical, but if we cut in milky stage the silage, we will have very low fiber digestibility, and it has negative impact on the appetite, on the intake. That's why we have changed our paradigm, and now we emphasize to cut the cereals, especially the rye, in boot stage or in flag leaf stage, then the energy based on the fiber, the highly digestible fiber. And you see on the photo that in the beginning of the harvest, we have to check on the field the head size inside the stem. We cut the stem and we measure the length of the small head inside, and if it is between 6 to 10 centimeter, the rye is ready to harvest. Okay, and the sorghum. So now I would like to show the different alternative forages. The sorghum. There are many different type of sorghum, and we are focusing now the BMR forage sorghum because it has much higher digestibility because of the special genetical background. So it is our target because it's good for dairy cows, for heifers, but it can be suitable for beef cattle also. Okay, so these new generations of sorghum contain less cyanide, less tannin, less antinutritive factors, and less lignin. That's why we prefer not just extensive but extensive farming. What kind of sorghum we would like to grow on farms? The grain type sorghum is not really favorite because it has very low yield, and we don't really need the starch. The digestibility is very low. The conventional silage has huge yield, but the digestibility is rather low. The BMS sorghum has lower lignin content, better digestibility, and these are emergency forages for the intensive dairy cows, but it can be fundamental for heifers, for sheep, or for beef cattle if the grasslands are suffering from the heat stress. So BMR sorghum is a good option. There is a BMR sorghum with hadden grain, but there are maize sterile BMR sorghum types. Thomas Kilser in the United States is working very hard to find the best type of sorghum, and he shares his newsletter with the planet. So you can get this kind of newsletter if you send an email to him. And there are sorghum without head. So there are different types. We can find a different type of BMR sorghum. And of course, there are grain type of BMR sorghum, but we don't really suggest because we are focusing the fiber, not the starch. So what does it mean, BMR? It has a brown color in the stem and on the leaf. It is a phenotypic indicator of the special gene combination. The lignin synthesis is impaired. That's why the digestibility is better, and the lignin content is lower than conventional hybrid. But it means that the lodging has higher chance if there is a storm or there is too much nitrogen in the soil, too much water. In that case, there is high chance of lodging, unfortunately. There are PPS sorghum, is a photoperiodic sensitive sorghum, and there are a new type is a bractic BMR dwarf sorghum. It is on the photo when there are a lot of leaves and very small internodus lengths. So it has rather high yield, but very high digestibility. It can be a potential. It can be a potential tool in our hand to replace 100% of the corn silage. in the intensive systems, but in the extensive systems, it's a reality that we can replace the corn silage. So it is an alternative of the corn silage in extensive systems. Sudan grass. The Sudan grass has BMR type, non-BMR types. There are many different types of Sudan grass. And you see on the photo the potential yield, but we don't really like this kind of yield because we can't make the windrowing, and generally the silage contain a lot of ash, a lot of soil contamination, because it's not easy to manage on the field this high volume. That's why we prefer now the 1.5 meter plant, because if we don't wait till 2 meter, so we can accept the lower yield, it will have beneficial effect on the quality, fermentation quality, and it will reduce the ash content. You see that we don't harvest in one. There is no direct cut. We have to cut, we have to windrowing, and we have to wield this material in order to make a good silage. Digestibility is perfect. It is more than 60 or close to 70%. It is the NDFD 48. It means that it may have positive effect on the diet whole digestibility. It's unique and it's surprising because the forage had because the sorghum had very low digestibility in the past. Now it is the opposite. It's much better than the corn silage. And there are other options, just like millet. The foxtail is very popular nowadays as emergency crop because we can seed it during the summertime, May, June, July, because it has extra drought tolerance, and we can cut after 6 days, so the vegetation period is very short. We can make silage or hay from this grass, and the yield is 8 to 9 ton hay for one cart. So I think it is a very good emergency crop. So the crop what we use when there is a problem, there is an emergency situation. But in extensive system, it can be fundamental. What is emergency crop in the intensive system? It can be normal forage for extensive systems. You see different mixes, blah bean, biomass, sorghum, and we investigated the Italian reed, Arundo. It is a long-term plantation. We can cut it 2-3 times in a year, but it shouldn't be so high as you see on the photo. We have to cut under 1.5 meter tall because the digestibility will be very low if we are waiting for so high yield. And we had a trial, and heifers could eat this kind of Italian reed silages. So they did not have problem with 5 kilogram reed silage in the diet. Okay, so what we can do if we have a hot summer, there we have two options. We should try to grow forage and cut it before the summer. Typical forage is the winter type cereals, and if we cut them in early stage, we offer it for high milking dairy cows. But of course, we shouldn't exclude the extensive systems, because this kind of forages with high digestibility and high energy content can be perfect even for beef cattle or suckler cows or sheep during the winter time, and we can save concentrate. But these are rather expensive forages because of the lower yield. And then we have other options So we can try summer crops, drought-tolerant summer crops, for example, sorghum. As I told, BMR, maize-tonite, brachytic dwarf, BPS sorghum. And if you cut it early time, it's good for high milking cow. If you cut it a little bit later, it's perfect for beef cattle. BMR or non-BMR Sudan grass can be perfect for extensive systems. BMR sorghum cut in milky stage. It has lower fiber digestibility but higher starch content. It can be acceptable for heifers, beef, and sheep, but not for intensive dairy cows. And sorghum blends, sorghum legume blends also acceptable and not acceptable, sorry, useful forages for extensive systems and the foxtail. And we haven't got so deep experience with millet, but millet also an option, Indian millet. The double cropping has a beneficial effect on biomass yield, on harvested in the field, but it has environmental aspect because they can cover the lands between September and April or May. So it means that the cover crops can prevent the erosion, the deflation, nitrogen leakage. So it can help, it can improve the soil structure. So you can read different peer-reviewed paper about the environment, positive environmental effect of the double cropping. So in the United States, in New York State, is very popular, and the Cornell University had more paper about the double cropping system. We combine in the past the rye and the corn, and as I told before, we will change because the corn is in danger, and there we can't grow the corn, and we will grow BMR sorghum. In that case, the pair can be a triticale or intensive grass, because the triticale and grass cut is a little bit later, and the sorghum we can seed a little bit later. So it means that they are a good couple together. And the whole crop cereal cut in milky stage, it's another option because after that we can grow foxtail or Sudan grass as emergency crops. Or we can grow grain as barley, and after the harvest, the seed harvest, we can grow foxtail or Sudan grass as emergency crops. So there are different options, and we have to increase the winter crops area in Hungary because the corn silage area is decreasing dramatically. Now we have minus 44% silage corn area as 10 years ago. So we have to increase the amount of the winter crops. So the intensive system is okay. So we tried a lot of different methods and forages. What can be option for extensive system? So the pasture management in Hungary is very poor. So it is the key that we have to increase the management quality. Second, we have to increase the area from haymaking because the yield will be decreasing in the future. And we have to consider that even for sheep and for beef, we have to make silage on area. We have to grow plants, forages on arable, because in our climate there is not enough grass during the summertime, and we need conserved forages, silages or hay during the winter time. The cereal hay production is a new option. The cereal has a much higher yield compared to the grass in my country. The winter cereals, and the hay making is possible from cereals. It's possible the grazing on Sudan grass or forage millet area, so there is a direct grazing option. Of course, the dual cropping may help the farm surviving in bad seasons. And the arable grazing is the new terminology. Some of our farmers use their lands for grazing as a pasture for 5 months, and after they seed corn and sorghum, and they use the area, the field as an arable for 4 months. So it's a combination of grazing and plant production. And the question is the irrigation, of course. So for sheep, beef, and heifers on arable, we can grow biomass sorghum with higher starch content, whole crop cereals in milky waxy stage with lower fiber digestibility but higher yield and higher starch content, legume cereal mixed silages cut in milky waxy stage, and legume sorghum silage. Beside the alfalfa and grass hay, we can make cereal hay cut in flowering or early milky stage, for example, the triticale. And we can produce hay from cereal and cereal grass blends. And we can make hay from student grass also. And I would like to, that is the photos of different cereal hays. You see it is an oat hay, it's fantastic. I made the photo in Italy. And it's possible, what I told before, to make a differentiation in utilization of the field. We can use the same field for grazing and for plant production. You see some photos. This is the area where limousine cows are grazing, and after they use this land for direct seeding of corn. And there is a low yield of corn, of course, but it's enough for the beef cattle for this herd as a concentrate. There is a Sudan grass field, and you see that the animals are going in to the field, and they spend the summer here, and you see in November the area. So it is a collection of the different type of forages for extensive herds, just like sheep, beef, cattle herds. Of course, everybody can use corn silage, alfalfa hay, if it's available or is locally traditional. But generally, it is too expensive. That's why we offer alternative, cost-effective forages, which has positive effect on rumination, which has relatively high energy content, and which can adapt to the climate change in lowlands and drylands of Central Europe. You see the sorghum, different type of sorghum, the winter crops cut in different phenological stage, different mixes, and many different type of hays beside the grass hay. And you see the photo, the high yield shows that these kind of winter crops or summer crops may have very high yield, and it means for me that these are cost effective for extensive herds. But of course, we have opportunity to cut them much earlier when the silage or the hay is much more expensive, but the daily diet can be may have the similar cost or lower, because we don't have to use so much concentrates as before. We can decrease the concentrate level in the index extensive herd diet. So that was what I wanted to show you, and what is my message to you, to take home message. It is a complex view. I know I don't want to repeat. The only one thing what I want to emphasize, that adaptation is the most important thing. So we have to change our considerations, our traditions and historical practice. We have to adapt to the climate change, but we have opportunity to adapt, and we can share our experience, what we have now in Hungary. So you're welcome. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Szilvia, also for managing your time so well, despite this I think extensive content covered. So we heard a lot of, I think, very relevant information, data, also for farming experience. So also for this, we might need some time to digest all, but as I saw already, we received some questions in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. Very interesting, very nice. Well, I'm curious about those species because I didn't never use them and so on. Arondo and Setaria. First of all, about the feeding value.
Okay.
How low or how do you consider their feeding value?
Okay.
And then if they are commercially available, or how did you see them, or how can we? Because it will be interesting also to test to see some other, let's say, side effects.
Okay.
Thank you.
The foxtail, Setaria viridis, is absolutely common in Hungary and available, so it's possible to buy. It's possible that in other countries are not available, I don't know, but you can check. But it's not special. What is special that we have to cut in early stage before heading. And in that case, the nutritive value is very high. So digestibility is similar to an Italian ryegrass, because the species have effect, of course, on the digestibility, but the growth stage has much bigger effect. So if you cut early enough, it may have 60-70% fiber digestibility. So it means that you can use even in very intensive systems, in a high milking dairy cows diet also, not just in extensive systems. But if you would like to produce silage for beef cattle, you can wait with harvest a little, but not later than flowering, because the head will be sticky and maybe the animal will not really like it. So it means that what I suggest to cut in before heading, so in boot stage or in heading or early flowering, but not later. And so I can offer for any kind of ruminants and for any conditions, because it's drought tolerant. A problem is the depth of the drought, because we grow it during the summertime, and it's possible that you will not have enough rain for growing, even for Setaria. What does it mean? If you have in May or in early June, you have 50 millimeter rain, you will have beautiful grass. But if you have just 10 or 15 millimeter in July, the grass will not be able to grow. So it's not for, it means that if you have very low rain, even the Setaria will not grow. That is a question. So, and we don't know before what will happen during the summer. That's why we say that it's just an emergency crop. And the reason is not the crop feature or disadvantage. The reason is the summer, what we don't know, what will happen. If you have generally 50 to 100 millimeter rain in June, it's okay. It's no problem. Reed is different. The reed is a strong, very strong plant, and you need plantation. So, because it's not non-invasive, you need a small plant to dig, and you have to use 4 or 5 liter water during the first 2 weeks, just like tomato or other or vegetables. It's not easy to make. It's a lot of cost. It's a lot of labor work. But if the reed can survive, after half year, it will have huge, dramatically high yield. And the plantation will survive 15 to 20 years. And you don't have to pay any additional cost for this plantation. I have to tell you that in Hungary, the farmers were not really happy with it because of the cost of the plantation. But if somebody has already a plantation, they can use for feeding, because digestibility can be 50 to 60%. It means that if we cut in early stage, the digestibility can be very similar to sorghum, a traditional sorghum. So if you ask me about these two plants, I strongly recommend to try the foxtail, the setaria. And if you would like to see a plantation, I invite you to look around in Hungary. I can show you reed plantations, and we can talk about the details. What is very important, that is non-invasive, so it will not have a harmful effect on the environment.
Yeah, maybe we can organize some cross-border visit or something. I'm not sure if it's allowed in the project or if it's budgeted, but I think it's budgeted.
You are welcome.
We check.
You're welcome. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, sorry, I was dropped out from the meeting for a few minutes, so I couldn't follow the last 2-3 minutes. So Szilvia, you already replied to the questions in the chat, yes?
Yes.
So now maybe, yes, okay, thanks a lot. So maybe also we can now go to this short feedback questionnaire. We prepared a very short form. I put it into the chat. So you can click on it, and you can maybe in a few seconds you can provide your feedback. I can also show it here on my screen. It's basically just a few questions related to your experience and your knowledge about some of the strategies that you could hear today for the Hungarian scenario. And also we are interested whether you are open for a future collaboration in working together and developing some strategies, not only at the national level, because I think many of our countries have quite similar conditions. So would be interesting also to learn from each other. That's basically the main goal of this kind of events as well. So maybe we can use the time here at the end of this today's meeting, maybe 1 or 2 minutes to have some responses arriving. Of course, we will also share this form with participants if we are missing some feedback. So it can be also provided, the input can be provided later, but let's try to do it now as it's really, really short. In the meantime, I will try to have a look at the results arriving. Hopefully everyone can open the link. I put it into the chat of the Zoom meeting, so you can find it, maybe the last chat item. You just click on it and provide your feedback.
Mm-hmm.
In my case, I cannot see it in my case in the chat.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah, sorry for that. Maybe I stop sharing and then I can better see. Yeah, let me do it again. Maybe I replied to the AI bot and not to the whole group. So thanks for noting that. No, I'm still on the wrong position.
And there's another question in the chat, by the way, which is not mine.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Let me try to do it again. Thanks for noting. Meeting group chat, maybe that's where I should send. Can you see it now? I sent it right now.
It's arrived. It's okay now.
Okay, thanks, and sorry for technical issues. We have an electric power out and the internet broke. The Murphy's Law. Okay, so please try to click on it and you can just very quickly. I think we have 4 short single selection type of questions. And I'm checking the results in the meanwhile. Okay, so we have already 2, one from Austria and one from Hungary. Maybe we can wait a little bit more. I think we planned the meeting until 3:15, so we still have 5 minutes. First question, maybe I won't read it out, but many yes.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, I think the yes is usually the most positive way of
BMR sorghum
potential for collaboration. And yeah, the second one also. No, it's the no. Sorry.
is a BMR sorghum, the second one.
Yes. It's no is leading.
Oh,
Annually grown forage grasses. Yeah, it's also quite high. The yes.
it's surprising for me. I'm very happy with it. Oh, but there's not so many hay, cereal hay, so it's possible to improve. It's a new, maybe it's a new thing.
Yeah. Last question. To me, it's also interesting as a coordinator in the project, managerial side, but it looks very nice at the moment. Let me refresh and see how many more came in. Okay. I think that the ratio is very similar. I think we have maybe 2 new inputs. Okay, let's wait 1 more minute. So it will be the result for the meeting. And if you already opened and haven't submitted, because we will close very soon, then you can still continue and we will share this result on the back office, on the website of the project, and also, of course, the recording and the summaries you will be able to access. And I think we will reach out to participants and we can continue the common work in this topic. Okay, one final reload. Okay, so the numbers are increasing. I think we can stop here because also some comments and questions we could address, and we thank you for your collaboration today. What else to say? I wish you a nice rest of the day, and we will see each other next time, maybe this spring, maybe in April, when we are to co-organize the next knowledge sharing event in forage production. So be well and have a nice day. Thank you very much for participation. Very much thanking to Szilvia. I think she's the expert of this topic in Hungary. Also, we are looking forward to more common work with her, but also with you, and keep in touch.
Thank
So
you.
thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.